This week, the Oregon Ducks will play host to the Wisconsin Badgers. Oregon comes into this game as number 6 in the country in the preseason, or based upon last season or based upon Wisconsin's history. You would have thought that this game would be nowhere near the line that it is right now. It started out at 34.5. It is down to 33.5 at the recording of this video, and the Oregon Ducks that is a blowout favorite. And when you think about the stakes of this game, now for Oregon, it's not so much of whether you're going to win or lose this game. Let's not just be in denial about the truth. But this game is big for Oregon because they must continue to play well. The whole goal of this team, who no longer holds their own cards in terms of controls their own destiny in making the Big Ten championship game, but they do control their own destiny in making the college football playoff. So Oregon does not want to slip. They want to continue to get better. Like, you want to see more stoppage of the run by the linebackers in the hole. You want the offense to continue to move. You actually want to see them face a little bit of adversity in terms of not having so many big plays like against Rutgers. You want to see this offense absolutely get a chance to move the ball methodically a little bit, but we'll get into that whole point a little bit. But Wisconsin, there's a lot on the line because the university came out and said that Luke Fickell and his team, who just got their doors blown off by Iowa 37-0 and then 34-0 by Ohio State, they want to see some sort of progress. But they did not say, because people were speculating that Luke Fickell, their head coach, was going to get fired. But that's not the case right now. They said, you know what, we're actually going to double down and we are going to invest resources into it instead of continuing to turn over coaches. Now, that's one school of thought. But the question is, because Luke Fickell was a really good coach at Cincinnati, and I don't believe that he forgot how to be a good coach, but sometimes fits at places are not right. And sometimes things have gone so far down the road that you just need to get in a new relationship as opposed to trying to fix the one that you're in. Even though I'm a proponent of therapy and everything else, I'm not sure if there's enough therapy to fix what's going on at Wisconsin. Oregon enters this game at 6-1. Obviously, the big win at Penn State in double overtime, which people are going to try to diminish. But Oregon broke Penn State because of Penn State. And if you go back and watch some of the other videos, Penn State put all their hopes and dreams in that one game, which is a mistake in this era of college football. They've beaten Oklahoma State. They just tore Rutgers a new you-know-what. I mean, it was bad. And now they're hosting 2-5 Wisconsin, who's been absolutely shut down. It's going to be a cooler day in Eugene, 48 degrees. And the Autzen noise, it is going to be an advantage. But I don't believe that the Autzen crowd is going to be a huge factor in this game, only because I was at the Indiana game. And I thought that it was going to have the same juice as the Ohio State game last year. But apparently, Ducks fans needed to hear and see for themselves that this Indiana team is for real and they are worth and worthy of their best performance as fans. Even though they did draw some offsides, it just wasn't as loud as the Ohio State game. And you can't expect every game to reach that sort of magnitude. But I do think that it was still a good environment. Autzen is still crazy, but we can do a little bit better. And I'm college football's honesty broker, even about the team that I love. Let's talk about these coaches. You got Dan Lanning, who is 35-6 across his first 3 seasons. Obviously has an extension through 2030 as the head coach. The culture that he's building amongst this team, it is special. It is clear, because last week I said that we would know everything that we needed to know about this Oregon team in the first half of the Rutgers game. If it was only 13-10, then I would be highly concerned. But they came out and flushed the Indiana loss and were able to show that they are a dominant football team against pretty much anybody that you sit in front of them. And on the other hand, Luke Fickell, he's in a rebuild, and it is year 3. And now there's a lot of turbulence. And that's after a rough 2024. The Badgers are searching for an offensive identity, a quarterback, and everything in between. You got the quarterback battle. You got Dante Moore, who is, 1,700 yards, 19 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. And then last week it was 15 for 20, 290 yards and 4 touchdowns at Rutgers, and then also an interception. Who is going to start at quarterback for Wisconsin? Because they've had Danny O'Neal, their original starter was hurt. They've started a walk-on. So we're going to see who walks out there for them. And this is an opportunity for the Oregon defense to really take advantage of things. Now let's talk about the Wisconsin offense versus the Oregon defense, because Wisconsin's offense is 134th in scoring at only 13.3 points per game, and they're 123rd in pass yards per game. And then third downs only converting at 35.2%. And they've allowed 17 sacks and are -7 in the turnover ratio. This is a recipe for absolute pain and destruction in Autzen Stadium, because Oregon's defense is top 10 in scoring allowed at only 14 points per game. This is a mismatch on the front and everything else. Badgers, if they can't stay on schedule, this game is going to get absolutely bananas. And this is after Oregon held a Rutgers passing game that was through their first 6 games that was passing for literally right up at 300 yards a game, held them to under 80 yards and 8 for 25 by Caliac Manis. That was an impressive performance. But now let's talk about Oregon's offense versus Wisconsin's defense. Oregon averages 44 points per game, 500 yards per game, almost 50% on third down. And then Dante Moore to true freshman Decorian Moore. And then you add in the rest of the wide receiver crew, tight end Kenyon Sadiq, Gary Bryant Jr. Then you got Jeremiah McClellan, Malik Benson. They are just explosive all over the place. Now, the tight end, Kenyon Sadiq, he got a little banged up in the Rutgers game, and I'm not sure how much we're going to see of him in this Wisconsin game. But if not, then you got Jamari Johnson, who's a very good threat in the pass game as well. And it'll be good to see him get some additional playing time as well, because I wouldn't imagine that we're going to see Sadiq this entire game. Wisconsin's defense, on the other hand, they are middling. They are allowing 24.3 points per game. The reason why their defense is struggling is because their defense is consistently put in bad spots by their offense turning the ball over and also creating bad field position spots. When you think about it, every 10 yards of field position that you gain are, through the analytics, multiple percentage points in terms of the opportunity that you have to score. So this is an opportunity for Wisconsin's defense. If they can generate some turnovers, a scoop and score, a pick six, any of those things are going to give Wisconsin an opportunity, because last year Wisconsin wasn't that great, but the Oregon Ducks team, they had played, 9 weeks in a row. And they went out to Camp Randall and they were a little bit tired and they got in an absolute dogfight. So I know that Dan Lanning does not want to have another dogfight like that. So expect the Ducks to try to jump out early. Now let's talk about these X factors, because the X factors in this game matter. Now, Oregon, it is going to be their explosive starts, because when Dan Lanning and Will Stein and Tosh Lupoy on the defense, when their initial script hits, it is absolutely explosive and things snowball. They will get out of hand fast. Now, what I would like to see is Oregon's special teams be even better. Let's not drop punts. Let's actually make some field goals, those sorts of things. But any Oregon fan will tell you that they actually don't mind that we can't kick field goals right now, because that's usually when Oregon has some of its best football teams. Now, on Wisconsin, the X factor. It's going to be Dylan Jones and ball control. And it's got to be field position, because if they can shorten the game with the amount of possessions, because the more possessions in the game, that favors Oregon, because they're going to score at some point in time and score in bunches. But if you can keep their offense off the field by just continuing to get first downs, that's going to be less opportunities that they have to score. If they can get a +2 turnover margin, then they're going to be able to hang around in this game. Now, the question is, let's look at this spread, because Oregon, who is scoring a lot of points on offense. They are 33.5-point favorites in this game, and this number is massive. Wisconsin did not score the last 2 weeks. Iowa, with their mid-passing game, who still didn't even throw for over 200 yards, still scored 37 points on this team. And Ohio State only scored 34 last week. So the question is, what is going to give here? I do not believe that Wisconsin will be able to score enough points to keep this game under 33.5. And I do believe that Oregon gets into the 40s. I don't believe that they get into the 50s the same way that they did a week ago against Rutgers. So I am going to take the Ducks minus 33.5 in this game. And then going forward, the schedule gets a little rough for Oregon. At Iowa, which could be a tough game. Then they got Minnesota, who's doing a good job. And then they host USC. These 3 games are going to be the games that really decide whether Oregon is going to the college football playoff or not. Now, Wisconsin, they got Washington at Indiana and Illinois versus this. God help them. I'm George Wrighster. Make sure that you like, subscribe, get notifications, tell a friend about the show, and be one of us. Peace out.